Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Well, welcome back to another installment of RPG A Day 2025. And right now, I'm in the garage because, well, there's people all over the place, and so this was the best location I could use. And, well, I'm storing my PA equipment and bass guitar equipment in here now, and they just came back from a camping trip, and this video's not about that. Let's get on with this. Last time I did an RPG A Day video, I went through days 1 through 11 on this infographic, and so today I'm going to probably do from 12 to I guess 21, something like that. We'll see what happens. It might be 22. But let's get going on this, because it's already the 23rd. So if you remember from last video, there are these tables on the bottom which can modify the prompts for each day. And what I was doing was rolling a d4. If it landed on 1, 2, or 3, I would pick the first, second, or third table to use. And if it landed on 4, I wouldn't modify the prompt at all. So let's get on with it, and let's see what happens for day 12, which is Path. Well, as it would have it, the prompt of Path for day 12 has been modified by Mood, and the mood is enthusiastic. And so I've decided that, in fact, the nemesis, the arch nemesis of our Patreon, has his agents following the path that our party has been taking in order to get to the ruins. And they're doing so enthusiastically, and they're enthusiastic because if they're able to let the party do all the dirty work, maybe the hard work, maybe the dangerous work, then they can reap the rewards. There's nothing you can possess. There's nothing you can possess that I cannot take away. Something like that Belloc said to Indiana Jones. So that's what I'm going with this. But let's look at day 13, which is Darkness. Ooh. So I found out through my magical D4 that darkness is modified by person. This is kind of interesting. So I'm going to say in this situation, which seems a lot more like a scenario than a campaign as this goes on, but these things happen, that there's a person skulking in the darkness as they examine the ruins inside or outside or just in the dense jungle around the ruins. They're just skulking. You just catch a glimpse of them. And they're really, really hard to catch or to really communicate with. Not impossible, but really, really hard. Who is this person? Well, day 14 is mystery. And first I was thinking, well, there's a mystery of this person, which seems like a bit of a cop-out. I roll on this table because the D4 told me to, and I came up with excited. So an excited mystery. That's an interesting conundrum to think about. And so the more I thought about it, the more I decided that this person is a bit like Ben Gunn. And I'm dating myself or aging myself from, I think it's Treasure Island. You know, them said hides can finds and the finds can hide, something like that. And so he's a bit of a whack job. He's a European that's been, or an American, that's been stuck in this place for quite some time, maybe predating the discovery of these ruins by the colleague of our Patreon. He's been there quite some time. So he's excited about the mystery of this place. He's excited about the mystery of why these people are here. What are you doing here? What do you want? And so should they finally encounter this person for real and have discussions with him, perhaps he keeps on being curious and gets a bit too close, or puts himself in a position where he might get caught, because we're not leading the action any direction. Just saying this person is here, but he's excited about the whole mystery of why people are coming here. And maybe there's more to it than that. Well, day 15 is Deceive, and it's modified by nothing. And so I thought about this for a little while. So I'm going to decide this mystery person is quite deceptive. He's mad as a hatter. He comes off as a loon, but he wants to deceive the people that arrive at this place, no matter who they are. Why does he want to deceive them? Who knows? But he's quite deceptive in terms of what he tells people. He's almost telling you the truth, but not really. Does he have some motive in mind? We'll find out. But maybe they'll be able to figure out that he's lying. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll suspect it. But we'll figure this out, right? Let's keep rolling. Day 16 is Overcome, and once again, it's not modified by anything. And instead of adding this to the scenario as such, I'm going to talk about this a little bit. There is no reason that the party should overcome any of the difficulties that they face. In other words, we don't want to force them in that direction. It doesn't need to be assumed that they overcome the mystery or the obstacles getting them to this place. It's not necessary that they overcome the nefarious arch nemesis of our Patreon. It's not necessary that they overcome the mystery of this mystery person. It's not necessary that they catch him. Or once they catch him, that they're able to somehow get to where you've placed the big thing that's supposed to happen. And that's one of my favorite ways to play games. It is my favorite way to play games, is where nothing's planned out, and we just plot people in the middle of a situation, and then the player characters act and react and interact with the whole situation, and then we find out what happens. We don't plan anything, and we don't push the action in any specific direction to make a thing happen. So that's what we're going to do here. So even though there's all these components coming together, it doesn't mean that anything in particular needs to happen. Day 17 is renew, and this is modified by where. And so I thought about this for a while because this was a bit of a tough one, and I decided this mystery person, this Ben Gunn, if you will, he's seeking a renewal. A renewal of what? A renewal of the way things used to be, that should be. And where? On the entire planet Earth. What could this possibly mean? But something weird and mystical and otherworldly and supernatural about this place. But somehow he believes, at least, that there was some way that the Earth was before that it should get back to again. Day 18 is sign, and it is unmodified according to the mighty D4. And so I thought about this because there's a few different ways you can take this. And I decided we can take it both ways, or at least two different ways. And the first one is the idea that within these ruins themselves, at some point, in some areas, there might be signs of recent use. Just all the various telltale signs where debris isn't there, or different debris is there. Maybe there's signs of chalk or charcoal drawings on the floor, some kind of weird arcane type symbols, that sort of thing. Sign that maybe there were fires lit, maybe blood, maybe things that might point to some weird activities going on in this place, and not that long ago, and perhaps deep within or up in the buildings of, or whatever you want to call it, and the ruins. So I decided to go with that, but also you can interpret sign as there being writing. And so I decided there's going to be a lot of writing within these buildings. Is it of a language that you can automatically figure out? No, not necessarily. It's not something that's of the various civilizations that we know about. However, I decided that there's got to be enough of a pictorial idea behind them, hieroglyphic type thing, that the really keen observer might be able to get the gist of what they mean. Will it say, welcome, make yourself at home, milk and cookies on the second floor? Probably not. Day 19 is destiny, and this was modified, and was modified by when. And so perhaps our crazy Ben Gunn type character, well, he believes it's destiny. It's destiny that you're here, and that you're here now, because the prophecy, whatever the prophecy is, has foretold. He's been able to translate a lot of the hieroglyphs, or perhaps he was taught them, who knows? And he knows that right around now, it's destined that something is supposed to happen. So perhaps there's supposed to be some kind of sacrifice of foreigners. But he believes it's destiny. Something very important is supposed to happen, and so your arrival is quite fortuitous. But let's take this a step further, and let's decide that the arch nemesis of our Patreon, well, he's a bit of a whack job, or maybe an occultist or something, but he was aware of the possibility of this civilization still existing somewhere. Perhaps he's looked into various forbidden texts, that ones that your Patreon maybe wasn't aware of. And so he kind of knew that this place had to be somewhere, but he became very excited when he intercepted the communique, figured some things out, was able to observe the colleague of our Patreon becoming very excited and thinking he kind of figured out what he did. But he also believes it's destiny. He's also read some of these prophecies in other books, other texts. And so he's also quite excited to get here now because he knows the stars are going to be right very, very soon. It's destiny. Does this really mean that it's destiny? Well, that's up for you to decide. Maybe it is, and maybe that's complete BS, and these people are all just freaking crazy. The player characters won't know either way. Day 20 is enter, and it's unmodified. And so we're going to go off the scenario prep again for a moment. Now, we could decide that at some point, the arch nemesis and his goons or minions are going to enter the situation. Now, we could decide that we're going to have them enter the situation at a critical moment, and thus push the story forward and make things more dramatic. Or, and the way I like to do it, is just to have them enter the situation when it makes sense based upon how much time would it take them to get there. And perhaps we even roll to see how successful they are at tracking the path of our party. And perhaps, even beyond that, they are able to observe things which make them decide to hang back or to jump into the situation immediately. And on that line of thought of not pre-planning anything, the player characters, the party, they don't have to enter these ruins at all. They could decide, well, to heck with what our Patreon says. This is way too dangerous. This is crazy. They could, in fact, decide to exit stage left and get the hell out of Dodge. It's up to them. We don't need to push them into doing anything. You know, how far they enter? Do they enter the areas which seem to be incredibly or the most problematic? That's up to them. We don't need to push them there. And it's going to be satisfying either way because we let them make decisions as if they were actually really those people. And maybe those people become smart enough to say, you know what, I'm not going down there. And maybe they're not that smart. And then hilarity ensues. We don't know what's going to happen, which is great. So I believe we're going to end on day 21 because that'll give me 10 more days to do at the end of the month. And so day 21 is unexpected, and it was modified by subject, which turned out to be art. That's a really interesting one. And so I've decided, after thinking, there's definitely going to be some unexpected art in these ruins. Now, part of that unexpected art might be the classic idea of a different kind of creation story, you know, chiseled into the rock, depicting humans in a different position than you might normally see them, perhaps almost as pets to some other race. But there's not the typical depiction of the gods from any other religion. However, I've also decided that unexpected art should include, chiseled into the stone, like definitely worn down through the centuries and perhaps millennia or longer, depictions, almost photograph quality of modern life, of modern cities, of modern dress, of perhaps the moon landing, perhaps of satellites in space, things that nobody could have seen or known about, but somehow these depictions are in there. And also perhaps art of dinosaurs, but throughout the stretch of time, of human history, even things way off that look kind of futuristic, all chiseled meticulously into the stone walls. What could this possibly mean? How could they have known all this? That's kind of unexpected, don't you think? All right, kids, this has been a lot of fun. And, once again, like kind of, extemporaneous, just rolling the dice right here and seeing what I can come up with. So I will see you around for the third installment. You can find the first installment linked at the bottom of this video. And thanks a lot for watching it. And if you're not doing RPG a day, do RPG a day. It's a lot of fun.